Transition, the process of change from one condition to another.
We are now at a new crossroads where change is evident once again.
What does not serve us must transform us anew.
Returning to our original state of oneness and true nature of that which created who we truly are.
Confusion was the way of the past. Enlightenment is the way of the now and future. Shedding layers of the seas.
We now bring you the transformation of the two who started as one. Our fearless planet never stands still.
Earth has been in a process of transition, not exactly this remarkable ongoing reality.
Welcome to Transition Radio.
Well, hello, and welcome to Transition Radio, broadcasting live from the beautiful land of enchantment, Silver City, New Mexico. My name's Mark Angelo Cummings, and I am your host.
And I'm Lena Ariel Lopez, and I'll be your hostess.
And thank you so much for joining us. Yet again, our show time now is Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 p.m. Mountain Time, 11 p.m. Central. And bringing you lots and lots of great information as well as guests. And this Thursday, we have a 14-year-old trans guy.
It's wonderful. You know, we have a younger generation. We had a younger generation earlier talking about the stuff he's going through in Canada, up in Montreal. And now we have another Canadian FTM out of the Whistler area, I think, British Columbia.
Yeah, definitely.
Vancouver, I think.
A lot of Canadians in the show. And we're also going to be having next Tuesday, Lisa Salazar, I believe she's her name.
Oh, that's right.
And we've had her on the show before, around a year ago or so, but she's got some great, exciting news that she wants to share. So we decided to invite her back. But before we go ahead and start the broadcast, we want to go ahead and thank our sponsors.
TheBreastFormStore.com. They have all kinds of things for your feminizing needs. All you have to do is check out their website at www.thebreastformstore.com for more information.
Look at all that great stuff. Seductive lingerie and breast forms, for those ladies who are still not developed or may never want to get developed, and they just enjoy wearing these wonderful breast form. And it's interesting the way this company started. It actually started out for women with cancer. And they started tapping into the transgender community to help out cross-dressers and transgender ladies. And now they have an array of wonderful products. And, they're just an amazing company. They've been with Transition Radio for quite a long time. And the new kid on the block is Spunk Lube. It's an amazing personal lubricant. They have different flavors and tastes. And, sex is just one of those things that people truly need. It's very spiritual, I believe.
Absolutely.
I think it's been turned into something dirty, and it's nothing dirty. I mean, how can something that feels so right and so good, especially with the right person, be dirty? But check out all their different lines of product. They're pure silicone. They're a hybrid pink.
That's our favorite.
Yeah,
pure
silicone. Yeah, and then they have the Spunk hybrid, which tends to look like cement. And that's kind of fun, I guess, if you're kinky and, especially trans guys that we don't produce semen. So if you want to pretend you're producing something, then hey, Spunk Lube is for you. And you guys could enter the code TR and receive a 10% discount. And that's awesome stuff.
It is.
And what's their website?
Their website is found at spunklube.com.
Yes. Yes, it is. And again, don't forget to enter that code TR and you'll receive 10% discount. Guys, we have some exciting news.
Oh, we do.
Yes, we do. People have been bugging us about the ebook.
Yes,
every time we put
right.
some of those delicious, nutritious, amazing
salads and smoothies. You make all kinds of dressings. And there's, I don't know, the sky's not even the limit for you.
Not at all.
What you do.
Not at all. And, the book is one of those things that you could actually... Here's a cover, and my beautiful wife-to-be created all these wonderful illustrations in the book. And you definitely, go either to the website, and you could find the link there. And this is what, you guys will get. They're actually, if you want the softcover book, it'll be $36.99. And if you want the instant PDF version, is $8.99, or just the ebook Apple, which you already tried on the iPad. And
It looks phenomenal.
And that's $9.99. And yeah, it took a lot of hard work to put this together for you guys. A lot of great information in there. And
I also wanted to add that we put a lot of work into like making the pictures also, because we went on hikes and stuff, and it really showcases a lot about Silver City, you know, the surrounding countryside and everything, and the rugged mountains that we live,
definitely,
you know, next to and stuff. So it's really a cool thing to just be able to put together a cookbook, but also have some nice pictures to go
nice
along
images. It's got a very spiritual feel to it, and just easy read, you know, lots of great recipes and lots of tips that I've put in there. I've been doing this for, gosh, over, I want to say almost 20 years.
Wow.
You know, quite a long time. Helped clients from all over the world. When I had my business, Bodies Under Construction, I trained bodybuilders, the housewife, the executive guy. I trained the person who needed rehab but wanted to work out and couldn't do it in the regular gym. You know, you name it. I've worked with people from all over the world, and I pretty much know my stuff and can change bodies. So buying that book is a way of you to get a little piece of me for that inexpensive price.
For me, I have benefited for no cost, but you know, maybe my life.
Yes.
Yeah. But it has been a remarkable journey these past 4 months with you, and just learning to give things up, learning to accept things that are, you know that things happen for a reason. And I just wanted to thank you for that.
Anytime, I love you. You're my heart, always and forever. And I'm very grateful that
in my heart too.
Spirit has sent you into my life, and look forward to many wonderful years together.
I do too.
Growing old.
Wow.
Yes.
We used to have a bunch of different topics,
Yeah.
you know, for when we did the show 3 times a week. Now we just kind of jump around.
Yeah, we do, because it's Tuesdays and Thursdays now, and we're trying to get as many guests in as possible, because it's always fun. I mean, that's what Transition Radio based itself on bringing guests and letting their voices be heard. But, you know, we also love to share information and get you guys up to date with the bizarre, the nutritional stuff, just a little mixture of things, the spiritual stuff especially, because I think we're shifting. We're seeing a lot of changes, and the old ways are no longer working for people.
Right.
People are tired of the same dogma. I mean, you know, it doesn't work anymore. People are ready for something else, because how long can you tell someone that Christ is coming, and it's like thousands of years later and he's still not here? And, you know, then you got those that follow him, not all of them, but the majority of them judge and not really following the way of Christ. And then we've got all these things like every week there's something new saying, hey, there's other life besides Earth. And that makes perfect sense.
They keep on telling us that too. I mean, the scientists and stuff, they're finding things out. These huge telescopes that look light years away.
Yes.
And they're finding stuff. And here's one of the articles that was found, that you found.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's called Building Blocks for Life Discovered in a Distant Star System.
Definitely.
Well, we may be one step closer to finding alien life. Astronomers have found complex organic molecules, the chemical building blocks for life, in the planet-forming disk of gas and dust around a young star, according to a new study.
Though such life-forming molecules have been detected in interstellar space before, this is the first time they've been seen in the turbulent environment of a newly formed star system.
Well, now, says Karen Oberg, an astronomer with the Harvard Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics and the study's lead author, she says, now we know we're not unique in organic chemistry. Once more, we have learned that we are not special. From a life in the universe point of view, this is great news.
And I wanted to say, because, you know, biblical statements think that we are the center of the universe, that, you know, God created the earth and we have dominion over it, and, you know, we're but a speck of dust. A speck of dust.
Well, the funny thing is that prior to like Galileo and other people discovering things about the earth and how we revolve around the sun, they thought the sun revolved around us.
And they also thought the world was flat, you know, and
Right.
people that would say anything against that was heresy and, you know, blasphemy and all
Right.
sorts of things. And kind of like the same thing that's happening now where people are trying to say, hey, there's something different. This is not, this Bible served us at a certain time and whatever, but it's time to grow. We're evolving. We're seeing beyond the little scope.
Well, we were just watching that movie, Noah, that came out last year.
Yeah.
It got terrible ratings by a lot of people.
Especially Christians.
I thought it was done very well. I thought it was a very dramatic, you know, representation of what could have possibly happened.
Yeah, the watchers, the powers that
Right.
people had. The grandfather, Noah himself, had certain abilities. And I believe we've always had these abilities. We have been dumbed down by the species that has taken over the earth that we call our creator, the Elohims. And they have put us to sleep so that they could continue to reign and rule the world. And there's going to be changes coming up shortly. And we're going to see these changes. And there's going to be news that people are going to walk around like a rude awakening.
People think we're crazy for saying this.
But it's not.
A lot of people do.
There are plenty
Christians
of proof. Well, of
would
course.
say,
Well,
you're crazy. Why would you even think that's even possible?
because the
Alien
clues,
is equal to demonic.
it's
in
all the
Christian
clues are
circles.
there. Even there are even pictures of the old days where there's pictures of Jesus and there's spaceships behind. I mean, there are pictures. There are
And they would call you crazy for saying that.
pictures in caves and the was it Simonian? The
Sumerian.
Sumerians. I mean,
Tablets.
yeah. What's the guy who wrote Genesis Reinvented? Sakurai, something or another.
Yeah.
I mean, there are plenty of proof. Even the Vatican has proof of that, and they're kind of wanting to come out with it, and they're kind of keeping hush hush. But anyway, let's continue with the article. Oodles of organics. For the research, Arberg and her colleagues used the Atacam large millimeter submillimeter array, which is called a ALMA telescope in Chile, to study a million-year-old star called MWC 480. The star lies about 455 light years away from Earth, and it's around twice as massive as our sun. Pretty
The
big.
team detected great amounts, enough to fill Earth's oceans, in fact, of methyl cyanide, a complex compound which contains the carbon-nitrogen bonds that are essential for the formation of amino acids.
The compound was found in the disk-cold outer portion, similar to our solar system's comet-filled Kuiper. Is it Keeper or Kuiper belt?
Yeah.
Science magazine reported. Scientists believe comets from the Kuiper belt may have brought the key ingredient of life to Earth.
A universe well primed. What does the new study mean for the search for life? Scientists who are not involved in the research say it's encouraging, though far from definitive.
As Jeffrey Blake, a planetary scientist at the California Institute of Technology, told Space.com, it suggests pivotal compounds needed for life may in fact be universal.
Seth Shostak, a senior astronomer at the SETI Institute, told the Huffington Post in an email that he didn't find the discovery of the compounds particularly surprising, but he was impressed by the amount of it that was found and how quickly it was made.
Quote, unquote, it seems that Cosmo is very talented at making the type of carbon compound that underpin biology, unquote. He said, the universe is clearly well primed for life. But is life really out there? That's the big question. And getting the answer will surely be one of the greatest endeavors of next 2 decades.
Oh, so there it is. In the next 2 decades, we're going to find out.
I think before then. I truly believe. I mean, I think disclosure, it's on its way. Our government has been the one that's really put everything on a standstill because other countries are on board. There have been thousands of reports from astronauts, from people in high places. I mean, what was that thing that happened, the Phoenix Lights, when thousands of people reported seeing the same thing? How do you cover that up?
Well, the thing is that there are government agencies that are funded by these other countries and stuff. They actually have a, unidentified flying object, alien type of they have a budget in their government in order to fund this kind of study. And the United States, they just balk at the whole thing, you know. They, you know, NASA doesn't officially have an extraterrestrial department, you know, to deal with ETs or with, you know, life out there officially.
But they do, because there's like
I'm
the
sure
shadow government, which is what even the regular government doesn't know about. The shadow government. There's a lot of programs out there kept hush hush. People are literally quieted either by being killed or by being threatened. I mean, there's Stephen Gear, Alex Collier. I mean, there's just tons of people with tons of information. When I was doing my research, because in my mind, I can't foresee that we are it. This is such a big, vast. I mean, there's universes after universes after universes. We are just a pea,
right,
out in what's out there.
Right.
And I truly believe, like the movie Star Wars or Star Trek, that is more truth than fairy tale. Right. You know, and I think that we've just been dumbed down and told the simpleton type of story. You know,
well, it keeps us, you know, at bay.
It keeps us obedient. It keeps us scared. It keeps us online or in line. You know, but I think it won't be 2 decades. I truly believe that we're looking at possibly a few years, if not less, which is what I predict. Funny enough, archaeologists have found this 5,000-year-old third gender caveman. And I've heard this before. I think it's not the first time where they've discovered in the tomb what appeared to have been a woman, but then looking at the skeleton, it appeared to be actually a man that was buried as a woman, because we've known that, you know, two-spirit individuals have been around forever. We weren't called transgender back then, and people just expressed who they were, and it was accepted, unlike now that people want to stone us, kill us, and all sorts of different things. Anyway, the article reads, archaeologists investigating a 5,000-year-old Copper Age grave in the Czech Republic believe they may have unearthed the first known remains of a gay or transvestite caveman, reports the Telegraph.
The man was apparently buried as if he were a woman, in an aberrant practice for an ancient culture known for its strict burial procedures.
You know, back in the day, even in Roman times, when they had theater, when they, you know, women weren't allowed to play.
Right, men played all the parts.
So they played the women's part, the men's part, the whatever part. And men were very in touch with their androgynous side. They wore dresses, and they wore robes, and they wore sandals.
I mean, even in today's culture, the Jewish people, they have a feast called the Feast of Purim, and it supposedly commemorates when Queen Esther was able to free the Jews from being destroyed by the king at that time of Persia. And the men dress as women.
It was very common.
Because that's what they do, and they celebrate.
Yeah.
And this is part of Jewish tradition.
And part of many of the rites of passage. I mean, the Egyptians, they wore eye makeup, and they wore their little skirts, and they had long hair. And I mean, I don't know what this new Judeo-Christian belief that they want to just, you know, cut the Indians' hair off and force everybody to be this white, typical, boring, same scenario.
Even Samson had long hair.
Yeah. I mean, so I don't know what they're trying to do, what they're trying to prove.
Well, they want to compartmentalize the sexes and keep us all separated.
Yeah, and it's not working. It's really not. Well, since the grave dates to between 2,900 and 2,500 before Christ, the man would have been a member of the corded ware culture, a late Stone Age and Copper Age people named after the unique kind of pottery they produced. Men in this culture were traditionally buried lying on their right side with their heads pointing west, but this man was instead buried on his left side with his head pointing east, which is how women were typically buried.
Who knew that they buried people differently?
And now they just stick us in the box and down you go.
From history and ethnology, we know that people from this period took funeral rites very seriously. So it is highly unlikely that this positioning was a mistake, said lead archaeologist Kamila Remizova-Vezanova. Far more likely is that he was a man with a different sexual orientation, homosexual or transsexual.
Another clue is that the corded weremen would typically be buried alongside weapons, hammers, and flint knives, as well as food and drink to prepare them for their journey. to the other side. But this man's grave instead contained only a traditional egg-shaped pot, which was what women were typically buried with.
So they buried women with their pots and pans.
Yeah, here you go, take it with you so you can cook on the other side.
With all the evidence taken together, archaeologists are confident that the best explanation for the strange burial is that the man was effeminate, perhaps a homosexual, and possibly a transvestite.
We believe this is one of the earliest cases of what could be described as a transsexual or third gender grave in the Czech Republic. Reiterated, cooperating and archaeologist Katrina Semradova.
Semradova also noted that archaeologists from a previous dig had uncovered a grave from the Mesolithic period where a female warrior was buried as a man. So mixed gender burials, though rare, were not unprecedented.
I mean, you know, I think our society puts way too much emphasis on gender. I mean, didn't we watch a video not long ago regarding the Two-Spirit and the Indians? And something, I don't know, it was a documentary of sorts.
Yeah, how the culture then, the Indian culture, they do not put stock in the difference. They don't make a big deal out of it. They don't make a big deal about if a man is born more effeminate, you know, and then has tendencies to act like, you know.
Yeah, they said one of the tribal individuals and had mentioned that they never even heard the word faggot before, and they never felt ostracized till they left the reservation and actually went into our society, and that's when he started feeling the heat.
Well, their culture really, you know, has embraced it, because the Navajo Nation, their whole like reason for existence was like this historical fact that they celebrate the fact that the two genders were on another side of a river, apparently.
Yes.
And that it took a two-spirited person to bring them together, and they kept their community together.
The women and men got into some sort of scuffle, as men and women usually do, and so the women took themselves to one part. It's like, learn to cook for yourselves, and men went on the other side, and you know, no one gave in, because you know, the ego, which is something very present in a human condition. So it took a transgender person or a two-spirited person or a third gender person to say, listen guys, we gotta make up and kiss, and they brought people back together, because we've always been known as the peacemakers, healers, shamans, you know, teachers, looked upon as, you know, having a lot of wisdom, and we did keep the tribe together.
But the thing is, you know, I mean, would you say that just because you're transgender that you're automatically qualified to be labeled as being dual-spirited?
Not necessarily.
Because there are some that would balk at that.
Yeah, not necessarily so, because I don't believe that everyone is actually truly transgender. I think there are lots of people, especially
with this recent
power of suggestion, programming, and whatever else, and maybe I'm this, you know, because they don't want to feel or be labeled as homosexual, gay, or whatever, you know, or in middle-age crisis. I mean, everyone has their own reason, and not saying that everyone is doing this, but a lot of people are, and we see them a lot. They do this, and then all of a sudden they go, oh my God, I made a mistake, and they, you know, detransition. But no, not everyone is considered, you know, two-spirited, and some people are intersex, you know, which I believe that there is a true condition of intersex that has different spectrums to it. You know, there are the ones
and it means different things. It has different ramifications.
Yes, definitely. I mean, when your genital is different from the time you're little, and you know that you've got what they call a micropenis, and you're born a female, and you've got a bigger clitoris than all your other girlfriends, you know that something's going on. When you have a deeper voice than the rest of the females, when you get served on the phone, and things of that nature, when you have the little hair that grows from their belly up, you know, things of that nature, you know that, hey, it's not just gender identity, but there's biological things behind it. Same thing with genetically born guys who have a micro peanut smaller than most guys. You know, your voice is softer. You have more tendencies to be more feminine and more close to the feminine orientation versus the masculine. And then, you know, it's
really complicated though for people, you know, and it's difficult because some people want it to be so.
Yes.
You know, and it never was supposed to be so.
No.
But
it's just, you know, and there's nothing wrong with people expressing, experimenting, being who they feel they are. I mean, no one's judging. At least we're not. I mean, there are, you know, the religious folks that love to judge, that call it a lifestyle. I mean, everyone has their reason why they transition. You know, I truly believe it's something very spiritual. I think that it's not just one of those materialistic things where you want to have boobs and you go get a boob job, or you feel you want to be a woman because that's how you feel. And, you know, it's deeper than that.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been trying to say all along. People have misunderstood me because they think I'm trying to shove everyone, pigeonhole everyone in a box. But I'm not. You know, I see us as something totally different from what, you know, about it.
Well, this article here, I have mixed emotions about, because on the one hand, there's this Brazilian trans woman who was apparently a model and gets in this altercation and is crying about, you know, the fact that they're disfiguring her and everything. But what led to it?
Yes. And see, you know, this is one of the things that, you know, I know it's very controversial and they're trying to say we can't blame the victim, but there are times when you have to kind of like bite your tongue, put your tail between your leg and call it a day. Yeah. Because you've got more to lose, you know, and, you know, the pictures here are very, very, this is just, and she definitely is a very beautiful woman if you see her there, but according to the article, you know, temper and, you know, confrontational.
But, you know, also it may have been that she was instigated to be that way, you know, and that the police aren't reporting what they actually, you know, what she did to them, but they're not reporting what they did to her, you know, as far as to get her to act like that.
It could. I mean, there's always two
like
sides.
She bit someone's ear.
Right. Yeah, she bit someone's ear and then she said something and it was confrontational. And one thing I've learned with the authority, that's the wrong thing to do.
Well, that's one thing we were talking about. When we were out walking one day and we talked about how it's utterly dangerous for a trans person to get into any altercations with the authorities, to, you know, to run into any trouble with the law. I mean, it's, you know, I mean, if you're at airport security, you want to stay calm. You don't want to cause any ripples, or, you know, I mean, you just want to just mellow your way through.
Yeah, because, I mean, we are the ones that stand to lose. I for sure as I don't want to go to jail.
Yeah.
Although I'd be king.
We were talking about
I'd be king.
You would be king no matter what. If you were in a women's prison, you would be, you know,
Papi Chulo. It's like, okay,
and if you were
tonight,
if you were in a men's prison, you would be rare jewels, you know.
It's like,
I mean,
yeah, either way, that snapper down there.
Me? No. It's totally different.
It's really difficult for trans women, but trans guys, and you're like, what? The guys are like, oh yeah, you've got a what? Whoa, you're mine. So I'd be like, okay, I'll start smoking again. All the cigarettes belong to me. All the food, you know.
Yeah.
I'd be
so
like,
at the end of your term, you would be a millionaire.
Yeah, I'd be like, I don't want to leave. This is the life, you know. But yeah,
how did he get all this money? Well, anyway, this article is really quite amazing that someone would have been beaten this badly.
That was pretty bad. And I've seen other pictures that, you know, they had her naked with her breast and just like they clobber the heck out of her face.
Well, a Brazilian transgender woman was stripped, shaved, and disfigured in a police beating. The Brazilian transgender woman had her head shaved and her face disfigured in a brutal police beating.
Veronica Bolina was arrested on Sunday, 12th of April, for assaulting, an elderly woman in her apartment building in Sao Paulo and put into a male prison. So it's not like she was an angel, okay? Who goes and assaults an elderly woman?
I just think that maybe the police are reporting that as so.
Well, but they
Maybe
can't
that
do that.
didn't happen.
But how can they do that? I mean, you can't arrest somebody just for the hell of it. This happened in prison.
But the thing is, this right here
Uh-huh.
with the apartment building and the elderly woman, it could have been their excuse to cause her to go to jail, because Brazil is known for being the most anti-transgender country in the world.
It is, and there's a lot of,
Well, isn't Russia pretty anti-transgender too?
Yeah, the TDR list is very large. The names coming from Brazilian trans women, but I mean, why would they invent the fact that, I mean, they put her in jail for a reason. She did something to go to jail.
Yeah.
It's like with
Well,
CZ McDonald, killed someone, although allegedly it was self-defense, but the guy never really came up to her. It was the woman who harassed her or something, but no one literally, she had scissors and she, went and did whatever. But, I'm not trying to blame the victim, but again, there's always two sides to every story. And we've got, just because we're transgender, we can't scream foul.
Right.
So, yeah.
For reasons not yet clear, the model got into a fight. She was a model. She got into a fight with a police officer during a cell transfer at the prison, and she bit off half of his ear.
Yeah. I mean, it could have been that he got fresh with her, was calling her names,
Right.
trying to maybe get some sexual favors, because we see that in jail a lot. I mean, there could be tons and tons of reason, but okay, that if you're going to bite somebody's ear off, or
a police officer,
and
a prison guard,
you're going to create a fight, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
Because they're all going to stand up for each other or
Right.
stick up for each other, so you're pretty much toast.
You are.
Disturbing pictures circulating on Brazilian social media show her with cuffs on her hands and feet, head shaved, breasts exposed, and face disfigured from the battering she received from several officers.
One blogger noted that nearly every news outlet that covered the incident misgendered her and focused on her biting off the cop's ear, with no mention of police brutality, like I said earlier.
Yeah, I mean, again, you've got to... I'm not a fan of police at all. I think they overuse their powers. I think they, with that taser and in jail, how many videos have I watched? Not even trans related, just cops beating up on people because
they have the power to do so.
They're chasing somebody. Once they catch up with them, they beat the living. That wasn't long ago.
We saw that one where that guy was just spread out, lying down,
and they were just beating him and kept, tasing him. I mean, I'm not defending the law at all. I just, I think that we as trans people have to be very careful what we say and how we say it and what we do, because we are the ones who stand to lose.
Yeah.
She could have been killed. I mean, this picture I showed earlier, she got beaten up pretty badly. Audio was later released of Bolina denying being tortured by the cops and claiming she needed to be restrained.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Denying being tortured?
And pictures showing that she got clobbered from what? Oh, I fell and hurt myself. Yeah.
A female voice belonging to Eloisa Alves, coordinator of policies for sexual diversity for Sao Paulo State, can be heard prompting her in the background.
Yeah, because they knew this was going to...
Politically correct.
Right. Yeah, they were going to bring a major ramification to the force. And anyway, Alessandro Melchior, coordinator of the LGBTI policies in the city of Sao Paulo, has since said that Bolina told him that she was attacked more than once, even in hospital while receiving treatment for the injuries she received from police.
The incident has caused outrage among Brazilian LGBTI activists and supporters who accuse the officers of transphobia.
You kind of wonder, Brazil, it's the capital, I mean, of trans women. You think of Brazil, and trans women go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Could it be that it's too much in their face already? And, a lot of these, I mean, Brazilian are like Latin men, really macho, very anti.
They have Carnival.
Yeah,
they have all these, I don't know, things that would cater to a crossdresser or a drag queen or, even a transgender woman, being able to be like Miss Carnival or something,
You would think that it'd be more accepted since there's
You
so
would think.
many, like in Thailand, the ladyboys, and it's a very common thing. You would think it'd be the same thing in Brazil, but with all the fatalities and the TDR list that come from Brazil, I mean, you kind of wonder what's going on.
Yeah.
Really
Well,
do.
Brazil is violent already on its own.
Yes.
It's one of the most violent countries out there. I mean, the Olympics are going to be held there.
There's a lot of crime.
There's a lot of crime.
When I went to Argentina, girl I was hanging out with wanted us to go to Brazil, but something my gut feeling told me no. Actually, there was a trans guy who's been dying to get me to Brazil to advocate. And I'm like, I'm not going there. I get shot, I killed or something.
But they'll shave your head.
And beat me
they'll
up.
literally shave your head.
One of these. I was like, thank you, but no thank you. Because there's a lot of violence there. Lots. And just many are showing their support for Bolina online using the hashtag Somos Todas Veronica, or We Are All Veronica.
Brazil is the most dangerous place to be on earth to be transgender. Last year, 113 trans people were murdered in the country. Half of all reported trans murders in the entire world.
That's very sad. I remember when they did the TDR here in Silver City, and it's like the majority of the list was, Brazilian names. And we think we have it bad here in the United States. And it's like, you know what? We got it sweet.
It's nothing compared to that, because the violence that is committed against these, and it doesn't matter if they're beautiful or not.
Yeah.
If the men find out that they were men at one point, I'm sure that machismo drives them to do very, very violent acts.
And I think that's what drives many of the violent acts and all of the TDR, the majority of
I think
statistics.
In the Black African American community, I think that's what drives a lot too, because these men are probably attracted to them.
Yeah.
And then these trans women think that they can just
Get
play
away with
along.
it. Yeah.
They find out.
It's like that scene with Willem Belli.
In that TV show.
TV show that was in Nip Tuck or something like that. That the guy found out and beat the living daylight. I mean, you're dealing with a guy questioning his own sexuality.
Right.
He's like, hey, I don't like men, but you told me you were a woman. It's deceit, it's anger. It's not right. I'm not justifying
It's rage.
it. Yeah, it's rage. And it's not right. It's not being justified, but it's like,
But okay, you think about it. They're in passion of their high testosterone, and it's usually in a sexual environment, and anything can happen. So trans women, you need to be careful.
Yeah, and you need
what
to be,
you do.
You need to come clean. You need to realize and tell the truth. And, it may not get you what you want,
Right.
but it might save your life. I mean, getting booty from somebody or
getting your face knocked.
Exactly.
Senseless.
I mean, those aren't going to love you. They're going to love you for who you are. They're not going to care what you have between your legs. They're going to look at your heart and your soul and your spirit. And, it's better to have someone in your life that really and truly loves you for who you are than have to lie and hide and,
Well, that's what I had to do with my parents. I had to lie and hide for 42 years.
That's crazy.
And recently had a conversation with my mom and, on a text, because she doesn't talk to me anymore. Whatever conversations we do have are usually kind of heated.
Yes,
right?
they are.
Because they remind you of when you
Gosh,
to talk
yeah,
to your
it's
mom,
like,
right?
exactly.
Well, what I don't understand is how these parents can claim that they love their children and yet toss them aside.
Yeah.
And my mother would say, oh no, you tossed us aside.
Yeah. Oh,
It's like transitioning.
Yeah.
You make yourself unavailable to them. It's like you cross this bridge to nowhere, and they won't take the bridge to get to you anymore. So they just see you from the other side, and they just want to, point fingers at you and tell you, I love you. I'm praying for you. It's like, I'm praying for you to come back. I'm praying for you to turn around.
Yeah.
I'm praying for you to come back across the bridge. And it's like, how do you do that?
I know.
And it's so refreshing when you find that there's actually a Christian pastor, or there are Christians out there.
Mhm.
Not many, but there are Christians out there that don't think that way.
Well, it's these individuals that are following the true teaching of Christ, which is, I believe we are our parents' biggest gift. We're giving them the opportunity to step up and love unconditionally. Well, many of them are.
Well, what was that? What was that one Facebook image, that was being circulated about, little Jimmy comes into the world and what?
Oh yeah, it's like
we'll love him
no matter what,
no
if
matter
it's
what,
a
if
boy
it's
or a girl, and so you grow up 18 years later, and it's like, what happened to you? Love me no matter what.
Yeah.
If you're a boy or girl, it's pretty sad. I think it's, when you're thinking about it, the person that's supposed to love you no matter what, if you're a mass murderer, if you're homosexual, if you're transsexual,
it's your mom.
It's your mom, and your dad.
You football players, they don't say hi, Dad, on the TV.
Yeah,
they say hi, Mom.
Yeah, you're supposed to love your kid no matter what. That's part of we didn't ask to be born.
Isn't that how it was with your grandmother?
Oh, my grandmother loved me no matter what, and she was a Jehovah's Witness.
Right.
And my father.
And she didn't agree with your lesbianism. Right,
no, not at all, because Jehovah's Witness,
it's against.
Yeah, it's against all that.
Beliefs.
But, she loved me no matter what. And my dad loves me no matter what. I thought he was being the one that would have the most problems with it. But on the contrary. But, you would figure mothers that protect their babies no matter what, it's like, okay, you're this, but I love you and I accept you, and I may not agree with what you're doing, I may not like it, but I'm going to show you my support. But unfortunately, you can't choose your family.
Well, there's this Christian pastor, and he promises to love his kids even if they end up being gay.
Yep.
So John Pavlovitz is an 18-year local church ministry veteran. He is currently the pastor of a house church community called North Wake House Church, and also a volunteer at the North Raleigh Community Church.
He's married to wife Jennifer and has 2 young children, Noah and Selah. He also is a keen blogger, and a blog that he posted last week entitled, "If I Have a Gay Child, 4 Promises from a Christian Pastor Parent," and has gone viral and prompted thousands of comments.
The reason? Because he believes he would treat his LGBTI children with exactly the same love and support as if they were straight, and would pray that they weren't the victims of ignorance or hatred.
He quotes, "I was prepared for some people to applaud it and for others to condemn it. That was what happened whenever you put an opinion out there. I was fully prepared for the waves of both support and hostility that accompanied any vantage point, especially on a controversial topic like this.
What I was not prepared for in any way were the literally hundreds and hundreds of people who have reached out to me personally to thank me for bringing some healing and hope to their families, for giving them a message they rarely get from Christian leaders.
Many parents, children, and siblings have confided in me, some for the first time anywhere, telling of their pain, their bullying, and shunning they receive from churches, pastors, and church members.
They have shared with me their stories of exclusion, isolation, of unanswered prayers, of destructive therapies, of suicidal attempts, and of being actively and passively driven from faith by who else?
People of faith, yeah. This is what I do to let people who've been damaged or excluded feel seen, known, and loved. That's important, and I believe that the majority of the hate crimes, the majority of the bullying that takes place has a culprit, and that culprit is religious beliefs.
Well, I am a first eyewitness person to this happening, because ever since I have been a child, 5 years of age, I grew up in the sheltering arms of religion, of Christianity. And I was told, this is how a Christian acts, and this is how a Christian does things, and this is what we need to do. And this is what you can do, this is what you can't do. And there was a long list of, you don't drink and chew, and you don't run with those who do, and you don't dance, you don't drink, you don't take drugs, you don't smoke, you don't do anything like that. And you don't watch movies, and you don't go it's like a list of do's and don'ts.
It's like when you told me you never danced before, I was like, wow. I thought, as being raised as a Jehovah's Witness, which my grandmother didn't allow us to celebrate certain things, but my father's still pushing as he wasn't. But you always felt guilty when you celebrated birthdays and Christmas and all sorts of stuff. Well, you tell me you never danced before. That was like,
prior to that time, no, I never really danced before, because the first time that I even, had the real gumption to dance was when I was like maybe, 8 or 7. And I was jumping up on top of my bed, probably listening to some old Michael Jackson song or something. And my mom burst open the door and she's like, "Ay, Dios mío,
El Diablo!"
El Diablo! I'm like, what? Because I was just having a good time. And it was like a real quenching of that ability to just let that kind of energy out,
which is very,
and I felt very restricted. And even as I got older, being able to just enjoy music, it wasn't an enjoyable thing, because unless it had Jesus in it, no electric guitar, and was sung by some gospel singer, it wasn't Christian. My dad would listen to songs, even contemporary Christian music, that was starting to play using different instruments and stuff like that, and doing Christian rock and all that. My dad would call that devil music.
That's crazy, because dance is something that's been around forever in tribes, and you dance and celebrate.
We're islanders.
I know.
It's in our blood. I mean,
know.
I thought it was not in my blood, because my mom would clap at church like offbeat all the time.
They probably took the rhythm out of her, because what she did to you, that probably did to her. So it's almost like you suppress that. And it's sad, because we're humans, and humans love festivity, love to dance, love to have clean fun. And dancing is something that's very healing and very spiritual in nature. I mean, the first dance, slow dance that we had, I felt that it's like this little girl that was so excited, and your eyes lit up, and you had this beautiful smile. And it was just priceless. That I was the first that got to ever experience that with you. And
I was so excited, because
forever remember it.
Even in the past, there has been no opportunity to do that, because, even at a wedding, a Christian wedding, they wouldn't have wine. They wouldn't have
wedding without wine.
They wouldn't have, any kind of like dancing. And what's a wedding reception without dancing?
That's crazy.
Seriously. Don't they do the first dance or something? The dance with the bride
and the father.
And
it's tradition.
It's like all this tradition is broken because of
fear,
but bigoted religious beliefs that that was wrong.
Totally.
And the funny thing is that you could not dance, and you couldn't do all that stuff, but my dad could go buy a lottery ticket.
Or go to Vegas.
And gamble with
selective in nature.
Couldn't go to a movie, but you could watch some real sketchy stuff on Spanish, television. Univision. They would have
these novelas
and stuff. And I go, "Mom, what are you watching?" And she's like, "Ay, déjame." It's like, so there's like this.
It's hypocrisy. A lot of hypocrisy. Do as I say, not as I do. Oh, I get it.
But the thing is that the golden rule that they so like to, live by, apparently, supposedly, is do unto others as they would do unto you. So you do what you would want other people to do for you. And it's like they live nothing like that.
That's crazy. And talking about hypocrisy and arguments and stuff, this really hunky FDM, goes by the name of Aiden Dowling, may be the first trans man on the cover of Men's Health. And this has caused trans men from all over to be envious, to create all sorts of drama. You know, I've witnessed stuff like that firsthand. I mean, you are noted to be something or another, and then everybody wants that, and they start attacking you. And instead of like being all happy that, hey, this guy might be the first trans guy on a man's magazine cover of a man's, he's hot. It's a good looking kid, and more power to him.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where these people that are dogging him about it, they need to realize that this is a good thing.
It is. It's an opportunity.
It doesn't mean that one person gets to be on the top of the pyramid. It's like there's room at the top for lots of people.
And even if they weren't, even if, let's say, he'll be the only trans guy in the cover, it's like, wow, one of our brothers made it to the top and brought visibility to our kind. I mean, bravo. I've never envied anybody in my life. And it's like, God, congratulations, guy. You deserve it. Thank you for representing. Thank you, for showing the world. It does. It does.
For acceptance and understanding.
Or maybe modeling jobs for other trans guys. Who knows? I mean, it's an exciting time. Because trans guys have been pretty visible, and it's been trans women out in the spotlight all the time.
They've been pretty invisible.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what I meant, yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, the visible are like the Laverne Cox and Janet Mock and, all these different trans women.
So now you got a trans guy up there, and that's a good thing. So anyway, Men's Health Magazine is on the search for the ultimate guy.
Hey.
I'm too old for that. To cover its November issue. Last year,
I'll take some nice pictures of you.
Noah Galloway, I'm too old for that stuff.
Leave
it for the youngsters. Noah Galloway, veteran who lost an arm and a leg to an IED, accrued the most votes in the online poll, winning the competition. He lost an arm and a leg?
Yeah, to an improvised explosive device.
So he's got
so he was in a war.
Wow. And he still managed.
He still won because the online vote poll. Yeah. He won that vote.
Okay. So this year, Aiden Dowling, the openly trans man whose photo imitation of Adam Levine's famous Cosmo UK nude photo shoot for FTM magazine went viral. It's leading the polls by an incredible margin, currently boasting almost 25,000 votes. The man in second place only has 8,500. I think he won already. I think this article was dated. Yeah, really? I think so. I think it's a done deal. And it's, good stuff.
Good for him.
Yeah, good for him.
Dowling's lead is due in large part to a massive surge of support from the trans community and allies, something that has left him completely in awe and humbled. If successful, he will be the first trans man to cover a mainstream publication.
That's awesome. That's like huge, The Ultimate Guy Search aims to find a man who embodies the ideals of the magazine. Someone who is fit and fearless, and he is fit. I don't know about fearless. I don't know the guy. A doer who gives back and leads by example. Much more than a great body and beautiful face. Dowling has spent 5 years documented his transition via YouTube. He runs 0.5cc, a clothing company that helps support transition procedures, and has a web series, Beefheads Fitness, which caters to a trans audience. Speaking with the Daily Beast, Dowling said of the possibility of winning the cover.
He said, to break those stereotypes, but still be a man, feel pride in masculinity, but not putting down femininity. That would be so important to me. So far, Dowling says he's encountered only support and positivity.
This, like I said, was an older because one of the what's his name, who is the owner of the FTM magazine, one of the first FTM magazine, Jason something or another. I interviewed him before. Said there was a lot of bickering going on in comment sections, and I was reading it on Facebook, but. It's pretty sad when our community, they did it to Zoe. They've done it. It's done all the time. Yeah. When somebody hits, a little bit of fame or whatever, everybody wants to dog them. Everybody wants to talk down to them. And we should just.
I think they look to their humanity and focus on that too much, because they think that they deserve something, and it's like, well, why did he get it?
And why did I?
Why can't I get it? What am I, chopped liver? So
It's a typical human,
Yeah.
trait that they envy. They want what their neighbors have, and
Right.
why can't I have that car, and why can't I have that mansion? And it's like, you know what? Just be happy with what you have, who you are, and be happy for those that make it. I mean, it's a beautiful thing.
Well, I mean, there's nothing that that is better than someone who has really gone through, and been an advocate and been someone who has documented their lives on YouTube and has really openly showed their lives before everybody, to be able to get recognized like this. Because, I mean, he was already out there. People recognize him as a trans man in transition. And now that he actually gets to be on the cover of a mainstream publication like Men's Health,
That's huge.
that's pretty awesome.
That is very, very huge.
That's like, I think was it Carmen Carrera was wanting to be like a Victoria's Secret model or something like that.
Yeah.
That would have been huge for trans women.
It would have. And
but it kind of died.
Yeah, well, but a lot of trans women have really made great strides.
You've interviewed hundreds over the.
It's
the years that
amazing the
you've been doing
amount of
this.
individuals that I've actually interviewed, and here it is. I'm trying to show Lisa's.
Lisa Salazar.
And that's.
I'm looking forward to that interview because. Lisa
and she's
and
in
I probably
Vancouver.
have a
Another
lot to-
Canadian interview. It's like we've done so many interviews with Canadian individuals and transgender people. She's an amazing lady. Like I said, I interviewed her last year on the radio show, so I wanted to bring her back. I think she's got a lot to say. She just recently graduated as a minister, right?
Mhm.
And she wants to
School of Theology or something.
and she definitely wants to.
Well, one of the things that she was talking about was that she noticed that transgender people tend to be more spiritual,
Yes.
and that was one of her dissertations or something that she did when she was studying for her final to graduate and stuff. So it's going to be very interesting to talk to her because I have a very religious background, and she obviously.
There's a lot that you guys have in common, and that's one of the reasons I thought it'd be a great interview to have you guys really discuss a lot of the issues and what you went through and help other trans women out there, even trans men who have gone through the same thing, raised very religious and had to face the reality that they might lose the support of the church. And she, if I remember the last interview, she was pretty lucky that she remained.
Yeah, I mean, her family's Latino.
Yeah, Colombian.
And they still accepted her.
Yeah, and the church.
I find that very...
Yeah, the church still accepted her. So,
amazing.
It'd be interesting to hear some more and what she's planning.
so lucky.
No. And what plans she has for the future now that she has actually, graduated. And I think that is a great ministry. Minister people that are in the LGBT community that have been casted out and hurt and demonized by the Christian community. I mean,
give them hope
and know that God loves us all. I mean, Jesus came here to free us from the dogma, and somehow we killed him and made him into religion, and nothing was solved.
Well, I mean, if he would have come back at this point in time, it would have been the same outcome.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They would have thought he was a total outsider, and they wouldn't have given him the time of day.
Pretty sad stuff, and it's like people would rather be judgmental than be loving.
Right.
People would much rather hate than love.
Yeah,
it's sad. It's very, very sad thing that we're using religion as a tool of division, tool of judgment, instead of using it as a tool of union, love, peace, stopping the war, doing what Jesus came to do, helping one another, loving one another. There's no need for us as humans to be living the way we do, that for people to go to sleep hungry, don't have a roof over their head, and you got somebody who's got a mansion, 5 cars, and there's something very wrong with the system.
massive churches with
Yeah.
huge lighting equipment and video cameras and everything, and then there's like a mission down the street that needs help.
Exactly. And it's, it's all
Sad.
pretty sad and wrong. And God's become a business.
Well, the 20th century, God's
Yeah.
basically turned into a business for
Yep.
religion.
Definitely. And pretty sad stuff. But hey guys, join us on Thursday with Hunter Able, a young FTM, 15-year-old, interesting story to tell, and just allowing the younger generation to voice their opinion and their voice. Guys, remember, if you can't live your truth,
Then it's just not worth living.
that's right. Good night, folks.
See you guys.
We love you.
Love you.